The learning plans section of this project is an opportunity for you to brainstorm how you're going to teach the content in your unit and how students will engage in the learning in your unit. You've already worked a lot on identifying the what of your unit, what you'll be teaching, and you've already created kind of a map or a basic sequence of lessons throughout your unit in the calendar. This is your opportunity to really just kind of play around with ideas about how you're going to teach, how you're going to have students engage in the learning, what materials you're going to use in this unit. So the key in this section is to make sure that you read the directions carefully, and most importantly that you take a look at the examples of the different kinds of ways that teachers have approached the learning plan. I'm going to do a quick think aloud about what I'm noticing in these different samples so that you kind of get an idea of maybe how to approach your learning plan. And if you have any questions about how to approach it, please reach out to your instructor or ally. I'm going to jump over to the module, and I'm in the learning plan section. And the directions are listed, some key guiding questions for you to think about as you're brainstorming how you'll teach. And then I'm going to jump down to the bottom here where there are some example learning plans. So I've already got them pulled up. I'm just going to pull them up here and talk through them a little bit. So this is a PE unit or a health unit that has to do with golf. So I'm just going to read through a couple of these and tell you what I'm thinking, what I'm noticing in this. But really kind of the guiding question for this is, by reading these, are you able to pick up on how these teachers are going to teach some of the key content? Can you pick up on some of the learning structures or learning opportunities that students will have throughout this unit in order to learn this content and to move towards reaching the learning goals of the unit? So, PE or health. Form partnerships and introduce golf with hula hoops and different fun targets. Partners practice, giving one piece of positive specific feedback and one piece of instructional feedback. So right off the bat, I can tell that this teacher is not just going to stand in the front of the classroom with a golf club and say the history of golf, right? He's going to introduce it through some sort of kind of hands-on activity with hula hoops and targets, and there's going to be this partner piece where whatever they're doing, they're going to be giving each other feedback, kind of warm and cool feedback or warm and next step feedback. So I have a sense of how students will be engaging in this learning. Swing mechanics questions. How can you hit the ball the greatest distance without losing control? What role does timing and speed of movement play in striking with a golf club so that the ball will take flight and travel in the desired direction? So this teacher has decided to put in some major questions that they're going to use throughout the unit, which is great. Review the proper mechanics for grip and stance. Introduce full swing mechanics and skill cues. Have partner practice without hitting the ball. Have them try to brush the grass. Then practice with wiffle balls and short flight balls, taking turns giving and receiving feedback. So I was wondering if they were going to take it beyond just kind of like this, which is more about what they need to learn, which is proper mechanics and introducing full swing. So I'm guessing that this is a demonstration, but what this teacher did was tell me how students will engage in this, which is I'm happy about. So they're going to be actually hands-on, taking swings, giving each other feedback. So just from reading a couple of these, I'm able to pick up on this teacher's thinking in regards to how they're going to teach the unit and how students will engage in the learning. Let's take a look at another sample. The next one I have, let's take a look at this social studies one. Same thing, let's think about if we can pick up on the how of this unit. The key to this unit is that students need to be helped to process Prairie Day, the readings and other events in terms of the essential questions, etc. So they're kind of setting the stage for what this unit's all about. Okay, so pre-assess. Use KWL to assess students' prior knowledge and identify further student-identified learning goals. Okay, so I know kind of One major activity that they are definitely going to use is this KWL structure. Revise Prairie Day activities. Students are helped to process the Prairie Day simulation with the essential questions as the source of inquiry and talk. Students should see and be familiar with the questions and be encouraged to consider them on their own. Okay, I don't know what the Prairie Day activities are, but what I do know is how these students are going to be engaging in the learning for this. They are going to be given some questions, and there's going to be kind of a partner or group situation where inquiry and talk, student talk, will be at the heart of it. And so they're going to be discussing ways of revising these Prairie Day activities. Include other fictional readings linked to the identified content standards and understandings. Little House on the Prairie, Butter in the Well. Add nonfiction sources to accommodate various reading levels. Okay, so I really like this one because it shows the teachers thinking about the kinds of materials they're going to use. It's not just a textbook, which is fine, but let's say there was a textbook about what the Prairie Day was, the Prairie Day was. Let's say there was a textbook, that's fine. I'm now aware that this teacher is also going to be including some supplementary readings, both fiction and nonfiction. So this is a really great piece of your learning plan to include, are the kinds of supplementary materials, the kinds of readings that you're going to be thinking about embedding in your unit. Ask students to develop a timeline map of Pioneer Family's journey west. Okay, so they're going to create a map, a timeline. Stage a simulated meeting of a council of elders of a Native American tribe living on the plains to have students consider a different perspective and develop empathy for the displaced Native Americans. Okay, so they're going to do this simulated meeting or simulated discussion here. So this is a great example of how this teacher plans on designing learning opportunities for the students to reach the learning goals. We'll do one more sample. Let's see. Let's do an elementary one. This is a unit on time. So again, do we get a good clear idea of the ideas that this teacher has for how to teach this unit? Begin with KWL, okay? We know what they're going to do. Build on student answers by showing various time measuring devices like a sundial, watch, grandfather clock. So they're gonna have some visuals and maybe even some like actual physical products in the classroom that they get to play around with. Present and discuss essential question, okay? Clock repair. Have students pretend that they need to fix a broken clock by cutting and pasting the numbers onto a paper cutout. That's interesting. That's a really clear example of how this teacher is designing a learning opportunity for students. It's going to be a hands-on activity that students get to engage in. TV guide. Have students list the times of their favorite TV shows for one day or 1 week in sequential order. Chart how much time would be needed to watch the selected shows. Again, a very clear idea of the activity that this teacher is designing for students to engage in. So this is a great example as well on kind of a smaller scale than what we saw with the other units. The key in all of these these learning plans, I hope that you're seeing that teachers approach this in different ways. Some of them are talking about the activities, some of them are talking about some of the learning structures that they're going to design, some are talking about the materials they're going to use. My suggestion would be to kind of approach your learning plan as if you're going to talk a little bit about all three of those, the structures, the activities, and the materials. It's really an open-ended thing. You can approach it in many different ways, but look at it as kind of a sandbox to play around with ideas about how you'll deliver content and how students will engage in the learning.